Hello, everyone. Welcome to Liberal Tarot. I'm Sherry, Blue Dot, Red State. So, the focus of today's reading is going to be does Trump realize that he is POTUS in name only? And the reason I wanted to look at this is because he's had a couple of moments where, you get these glimpses where he's actually confused. And like he really is like, what's going on here? And the two specific instances that I'm thinking of is whenever he was asking about Doge, like, where's all the savings? Like, what was this all a scam? And it was like, you didn't know that? Yeah, there was never going to be any savings there. And that's coming out that, all of this stuff that Elon was supposed to do isn't really, he didn't save any money. He didn't find any fraud. And if anything, Doge has cost the taxpayers more money. And then you have what's being reported is the data that they stole, our data is what they stole. And then Alt National Park, and then there's also additional reporting, is that Peter Thiel and his, he's got this data mining company, and then Palantir is going to be like, basically they're taking all of our data and pulling it together so they can create dossiers on all of us. Okay. They're saying that it's to make their, deportation and immigration, policies better. But, they're going to be able to, pull up your name and your, social security number and tell you about yourself. So that is concerning. The way our government has always worked, all of that information has always been siloed within each agency, so they can't do this. Well, now they've stolen all this data, and that was happening whenever he broke into the Treasury Department. I mean, this has been reported. This is not an intuitive moment. This is, all of that reporting has come out that yes, it looks like they've stolen this data, and now you have Peter Thiel is calling it, phase 2 of Doge, which is building this database for people, of everybody. The other thing that Trump had said, he said a couple of things. One was questioning like what's going on with Doge. The second thing was, is Russia just playing him? Yes, they are. That he really thinks that he's in charge. And so if you look, and I've said this before, where Trump kind of has a rhythm to his week. He sleeps in. He doesn't like getting up early because, he consumes all this news. And then, they roll him out and he signs his executive orders, which he didn't write. He didn't come up with that stuff. That's Project 2025. And then, he gets his cabinet meeting. You get the Apprentice White House edition, going on there where they all, sit around the table telling him what they did, trying to, garner his, attention and favor, and basically it's just, each one of them saying, how can they be more horrendous than the person before them, and there's, kissing of the ring. And then, you get usually some, diplomat or, somebody, leader coming through. And then you have, a press conference. And, I love that he was called Taco, his opinion on Taco, which, and that's another thing. He's not happy about that Taco thing at all. So, and, he's real, like, he has these moments where he's realizing people don't like him. People are making fun of him. Is he actually the one in charge? So I kind of want to look at that whole thing and really like Peter Thiel, as I was doing other readings. I don't, those other readings are probably going to come out first, so you will know all of that story, so I won't rehash all that. But he has been coming up a lot, like specifically today. As I was doing, I like to read, the news on, what I'm going to be reading on, because a lot of times, like, there is so much that happens with all of this. There have been times when I do readings and I have to go back and go, oh, I didn't know that this happened. Like this happened. And so that's what this meant in my reading. Or, update to, this is whatever. It's very fast moving news. So I was finding a lot of stuff about Peter Thiel, especially this, Doge and data uh, processing and that data mining and building this, database with all of us. But that's really kind of the one of the big things that they're pushing for right now. So I want to know, and that they've just kind of been using Trump as, which I think everybody, that's been doing readings has been, liberal readings has been getting like, he's a useful idiot. And is Trump realizing that? So I guess that's the first thing I want to know is he realizing that? Is kind of where I want to start. And then I want to know, is Peter Thiel, are they really building this database? It's probably the second part of that. And the third, if I get to the third question, it'll be like, is it actually going to be implemented? Okay. So, for entertainment purposes only, I want to know, is Trump really realizing that he is POTUS in name only? They let him have the, reality TV portion of this while they do everything else. And by they, I'm going to say Project 2025, it almost feels like a board. It's not just, like Peter Thiel might be one person, but I kind of feel like, he's only one of like maybe a handful. Here, real quick. It's almost like the shadow government that the Trump administration has warned us about, is that's what they are. It's like everything, projection and confession, everything that he says is a confession. And so, yeah. Okay, entertainment purposes only. Is he starting to realize he's POTUS in name only? Okay, entertainment purposes. Make America great again. They're letting him have that slogan. Battle weary, taking a step back, looking at what you've done. This is supposed to be lessons learned, but I think he's taking a step back and looking at, like, I think he has moments of realizing this. Okay, that's taking a step back and looking at just what has happened. And the challenge, I think, is going to be those moments of what's he going to do when he realizes this? Like, if he comes to this conclusion that he's being used and he's being played, what is he going to do? This is going forward. And, is he just going to continue driving that, the crazy train off a cliff? I guess we'll see the options. How does he want to go forward? What does he want to do? And this is like the Chariot card. So this is because some major arcana about our options of how are we moving forward. Past experiences. I usually get this as our country. It can be the Kamala Harris card, but I was kind of asking more about, does Trump realize he's not POTUS? I kind of get this feeling with this of he thinks that he is. He thinks he is allowing, like he's projecting to others that he's the one in charge. But I think he's starting to question that. That's kind of the what I'm getting here is he's questioning, that. Knights of Wands, changes in messaging. So I also am feeling like a little bit of hesitation, especially with these two cards together, of he's like, is this, like, I don't know that he's fully aware of what's going on. I just get this, like, what's, like, questioning. That's the main thing I get here, is questioning. Like, I thought all of my policies were to make America great again, but now I'm having second thoughts. It's almost like there's something else going on. It's like someone else is trying to make America great again. Yeah, that Project 2025. And the potential, the outcome here is 10 of Cups. Ending a journey. This is also like achieving happiness. But we're talking about the Trump administration. And so this is going to be tens or a completion in his mental health journey. Like, his mental health journey is coming to an end. Okay. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting. Like, he has moments where he questions this in his more, okay. What I'm really feeling with this, and anyone who has had anybody close to them who has had dementia or something like Alzheimer's, dementia, something like that, there is a moment in that progression where they know that they have, dementia, that they know this, but they start trying to cover for themselves. And they'll be like, well, I was just asking, or I was just wondering, or what do you think? And they word things in a way that makes it easy for them to cover for, their lapses in memory. And I mean, and that's, as I said, that's not an intuitive moment. That's not a tarot moment. That's just, if you've had someone close to you, you see that. That's the feeling I'm getting from this. Like, he has these moments where it's like, who's in charge here? He's questioning, like he's seeing that, and he is questioning that out loud for, for us to see and hear. So yeah, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting, is like he really is questioning that. Like, yeah, I think he's realizing that there are other people that are pulling the strings, that are using him to get what they want, and that he really thought Make America Great Again was going to be what they did. So it's like, what did they tell him? And we see that, like the placating, the, oh, you're so great. Oh, this is what we need to do to make America great again. They played on his ignorance, they played on his racism, and they were able to do whatever they want. That's kind of what I'm getting with that. And that, yes, he's starting to realize that he was put in this position because he was seen as a useful idiot. Putin saw that. Project 2025 saw that. And I would not be surprised if there's not like some connections between those two. I know that Elon, he's friends with Russia. He's not really so much with Project 2025, but yeah, so that kind of makes me wonder just how much connection is there between Russia and Project 2025, because they both saw an opportunity with Trump. Okay. So the second part of this is this really what Peter Thiel is doing? Is this, Doge's phase 2 is being reported that it was never about the cuts. It was always about, the data and being able to put that in, to be able to put that into a computer, and, the whole dossiers that they're going to be able to have people. They're saying it's for immigration, but it doesn't matter what it's for. It should be illegal as fuck. But is this what they're doing? I just want to know, is this what they're actually doing? Are they actually making this database? King of Swords. Someone's making this decision. I would love to say that this is the court. Like, somebody brings a court case and the courts put a stop to this, but this is definitely somebody, legal, making decisions. Okay. And the challenge is fighting over what this is. There was also reporting that Elon Musk and Peter Thiel kind of have a very difficult relationship. Elon doesn't get into all that Project 2025 stuff, I don't think, but the tech stuff, oh yeah, he's all about that. And so there's been like some interaction and crossover between, like Elon's AI stuff and Peter Thiel's, database thing that he wants to do. So there's probably, this does not surprise me. I don't know that those two have the best relationship, but it's almost like they have common goals, but I don't know that they always agree on how to achieve those goals. That's what I'm feeling with that. Okay. It comes to an end. And so what comes to an end? Hopefully because I was asking, are they actually going to do this? And it's either that database comes to an end, or this is an end to the way we know how the United States operates as a country. Okay, we'll see what else comes up. I will not stop the reading on that card. Past experiences. This is going to be wait to see. I think this is something that they've been planning for a long time. They needed to have the technology, first of all. They needed to have the right person in the White House, to be able to make this happen. Elon's smash and grab, did he really think Doge was supposed to be making cuts? I think part of that maybe, but there was absolutely grabbing data at the very beginning. If you remember, it's come out in the court cases that, these tech bros did not have read-only access. They actually had access. You have the whistleblower coming out saying, oh yeah, no, we were getting, cyber attacks from, as soon as they set these things up from Russia. I mean, the IP addresses that was trying to hack. Is it hacking whenever the door's left wide open? Doge had set up accounts with passwords, and there was an IP address from Russia that was using those usernames and passwords. So, is that really going to be a, hack whenever you're using the password? The reason, and this is what Nathan, it was the whistleblower. That's what that's what he was saying. So I'm curious about, what's going to come out of the whistleblower stuff. But this is saying they just had to wait for the right moment, the right time. So this has been planned for a while. The recent influences, they thought they had it. They thought they achieved it. Trump is now, in office. We have him, where we want him. We can control him the way we want to, and we can get this done. And then our potential, the card that we all want to know, is the toxic relationship. And I really think this is coming to an end. I mean, could there be any more better card than this as far as describing, this whole project 2025, Peter Thiel, and this database? No. So I don't think that they're going to, is this going to be, yes, they're wanting to implement this. They were waiting for the right time to do it. I don't think it's going to be implemented because of this stuff. So is it going to be implemented, or is it going to come to a halt? Okay, as far as it being implemented, just 3 cards. Deciding how, who gets what in this country. Deciding who's worthy. A decision is made and people rise up. I don't, I'm going to take this to be courts making the decision to stop this, especially with the death card here. Something comes to an end, and it's this toxicity that comes to an end. So, yeah, with all of that, I think that Trump is having moments where he's like, I don't think I'm in charge. Yeah, you don't say. It's like, you might want to start with asking, who's coming up with these ideas for all of these executive orders, because it's pretty much coming straight out of Project 2025. And a big FU to mainstream media who said, oh yeah, no, he's totally distancing himself from Project 2025. Yeah, no, you lie. He lied, and mainstream media is lying. And, the way you redeem yourself is you stand up to Trump and maybe start reporting on his mental acuity. That, give him the Joe Biden treatment. That would be nice. Okay, that's my soapbox. I will step down from now. But I was correct in saying that, yes, this is all straight out of Project 2025. And the mainstream media did not do their job. And I got that, they're terrified. They're terrified of Trump. They think that, and it's like, stand up to him. All of you band together and stand up to him. So, I guess I wasn't quite done with that side rant. Okay. But, yeah, I think Trump is starting to, he's starting to question that. This is not going to help his mental health. Peter Thiel and ilk are the ones in charge. I don't think it's just one person. I really do think it's kind of like, I almost feel like it's like a board. And if you look, like, there was various authors to various sections. And so it's like whoever is going to be the go-to for immigration, whoever's going to be the go-to, Peter Thiel for the database. You're going to have your go-to people in all of that. So, and that Trump is not the one, calling those shots. He's just the useful idiot that they've propped up there so that they can do what they want. And will this come to an end? Yes, it will come to an end. That's what I get today. I have a feeling that Peter Thiel's not going to go away anytime soon, at least not soon enough. So I'm sure there will be follow-ups to all of this. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I'll put up some more videos for you to like and subscribe and, watch other videos. Especially, I often say, if this is your first video, check out some of my other videos that I've got going on there. So I really appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next reading. Have a good day.